A lot of people are scared of getting outside. They've never been outside. They've never been barefoot, but that's what Turtle Island is. It's a safe place.
In the wild, untamed corners of America, few people are as iconic as Eustace Conway. For millions, he's the living embodiment of the mountain man, a rugged individual who turned his back on the modern world to live a life of self-reliance in nature. His life's work, Turtle Island Preserve, is a 1,000-acre sanctuary dedicated to teaching the old ways of survival. Through the History Channel's hit show, Mountain Men, we've all been captivated by his grit, his smarts, and his absolute refusal to live any way but his own, but underneath that tough-as-nails exterior lies a story of deep loss and personal struggle. While Eustace has stared down every challenge the wild can throw at him, from brutal winters to threats against his land, his biggest fights weren't against nature. They were in his own heart. The sudden, gut-wrenching loss of his closest friend, and the pressures that came after, would test his spirit in ways no physical hardship ever could. This is the heartbreaking story of the tragedies that changed Eustace Conway forever. For decades, Eustace Conway was a symbol of freedom, a man who carved his own world out of the Appalachian Mountains. He built a sanctuary, Turtle Island, and with his best friend Preston Roberts at his side, it seemed like there wasn't a single challenge they couldn't beat. Their bond, built over 35 years of shared dreams and hard work, was the very bedrock of their world. But when a sudden and devastating tragedy struck, Eustace was left to face his greatest struggles all by himself. This is the heartbreaking story of the loss that forever changed the life of the legendary mountain man. To really get why this tragedy hit so hard, you have to understand the foundation of Eustace's life. And that foundation was a friendship, a brotherhood, with a man named Preston Roberts. Their story isn't just a side note in the Mountain Men saga. It was the central pillar holding up everything Eustace ever tried to do. Eustace Conway wasn't just some guy living in the woods, he was a man on a mission. From a young age, he felt a deep disconnect from modern society, seeing it as a path leading away from what it means to be human. He was inspired by thinkers like Henry David Thoreau, believing that a real life could only be found through a direct connection with nature. This wasn't a weekend hobby, it was his entire philosophy. He hiked the entire Appalachian Trail and became known for other epic journeys, living a life that was a deliberate rejection of materialism for self-sufficiency. In 1987, he made this vision a reality by creating Turtle Island Preserve in North Carolina's Blue Ridge Mountains, a place where others could learn the primitive skills he lived by, but a vision that big is tough to build alone. In 1982, Eustace met Preston Roberts, and that meeting would change both their lives. Preston, a man with a quiet strength and a deep love for the outdoors, instantly clicked with Eustace's mission. He wasn't just a helper. He was a co-creator, a visionary who helped Eustace turn a piece of raw land into the living, breathing Turtle Island. Their friendship was the stuff of legends. They rode horses across North and South Carolina, sharing adventures that turned them into brothers. They were the perfect team. Where Eustace was the fiery, outspoken philosopher trying to pull America back to the frontier, Preston was the steady, practical craftsman. He was an artist, a woodsman, and a master knife maker. For 25 years, he balanced his work at Turtle Island with a career as a beloved public school art teacher, where he was twice named Teacher of the Year. On Mountain Men, their dynamic was the heart of the show. People weren't just watching two co-stars, they were watching two lifelong friends navigate the real challenges of their life. Whether they were felling trees, tanning hides, or teaching students, their partnership was authentic and inspiring. Preston's calm presence was the perfect anchor for Eustace's intense, driven personality. He was the off-bearer at the sawmill, the guy who pulled the fresh-cut lumber away, making sure the dangerous work went smoothly. He was the voice of reason, the loyal friend who always had Eustace's back. At Turtle Island, Preston was just as vital. He served on the board of directors and was a mentor at the summer camps. His role was so important that he would often craft special knives to be auctioned off, personally raising thousands of dollars for the Preserve Scholarship Program. He wasn't just helping Eustace build a place, he was helping him build a legacy. It was said his spirit was infused in the very buildings and mountain air of Turtle Island. Eustace himself would later call Preston's support the best thing he ever had in his life. Their friendship was a rare, powerful force, a 35-year alliance built on respect, hard work, and a shared dream. They were, in the truest sense, brothers. And it was this deep connection that made the tragedy to come so completely shattering. The year 2017 started like any other at Turtle Island, with the familiar rhythm of the seasons guiding the work of Eustace and Preston. They were in their element, planning for the future and continuing the mission they'd shared for over 3 decades. But an unseen storm was gathering, a silent, aggressive illness that would tear through their lives with shocking speed. The tragedy that came next wasn't a battle with a bear or a force of nature, but a quiet, internal war that Preston would fight with incredible courage, leaving Eustace to face a loss that would shake him to his soul. The cruelty of Preston's illness was at speed. Just 3 weeks before he passed away, he was still a presence at a boys' camp at Turtle Island, involved in the life he loved. There was almost no warning. The diagnosis, when it finally came, was a brutal shock. An inoperable tumor on his liver. The cancer was aggressive and fast. The tumor was blocking the flow of blood and oxygen to his organs, causing his body to shut down faster than any treatment could work. The time between the diagnosis and the end was an agonizingly short 3 weeks. For Eustace, a man who had spent his life solving problems with his hands, this was a nightmare. He was facing an enemy he couldn't fight. He had to watch as his best friend, his right-hand man, his brother, faded away. In a heartbreaking twist, Preston had just recently supported his wife, Kathleen, through her own successful battle with cancer. Now, the roles were tragically reversed. On July 24, 2017, just a week after his 60th birthday, Preston James Roberts passed away. He took his last breath at 3:30 p.m., held in the arms of his wife Kathleen, surrounded by his family and his dearest friend, Eustace. The news sent a shockwave through the mountain men community. A message from Turtle Island tried to find some comfort, stating, "While the suddenness of his departure is shocking, we draw some consolation from the fact that his last days were full of family and friends instead of drawn-out suffering." But for Eustace, the pain was off the charts. He took to Facebook to share the news, his words heavy with grief, "Rest easy Preston James Roberts. The loss and sadness we feel is indescribable." The hole left by Preston's death was immediate and huge. He was laid to rest on a hill in the heart of the camp he loved so much. But for Eustace, every inch of the 1,000-acre preserve was a reminder of his friend. The buildings they'd raised, the paths they'd walked, all of it was now a monument to a shared life cut short. The emotional toll on Eustace was plain to see. In a tribute on the Turtle Island website, his heartbreak was raw. He described Preston's loyal support as the best thing he ever had and confessed to still crying over the loss. A vulnerable admission from a man seen as invincible. He also shared a story of how Preston, while his wife was sick, wore a pink tutu in the middle of winter just to make her smile. His plan worked. "She smiled, and made it," Eustace wrote. Preston's love for Kathleen and good work knew no boundaries. The loss wasn't just emotional, it was practical. The work that had defined their lives became a painful reminder of his absence. When mountain men returned, Eustace's struggle was a central focus. He was finding it nearly impossible to run their lumber business alone. The vintage sawmill, a machine that needs 2 people to run safely, a sawyer to guide the wood and an off-bearer to clear it, was now a dangerous one-man show. Scenes showed Eustace running back and forth, the machine overheating, wood piling up, and the risk growing. He burned his hand and admitted on camera it was too dangerous to keep going alone. The unbreakable bond that was the heart of a mountain men was broken. Eustace Conway, the master of survival, was now adrift, forced to navigate the wilderness of his own sorrow and figure out how to continue a mission that had always been a shared dream. Preston Roberts' death wasn't just a single event in Eustace Conway's life, it was the start of a profoundly difficult new chapter. The void left by his friend created a ripple effect that touched every part of Eustace's world, from his work on Mountain Men to his ongoing battles with the outside world. The most public struggle was clear on the show. Eustace, a man known for his fierce independence, was now painfully alone. The lumber business he and Preston built together became a source of constant stress. The cameras captured his frustration as he tried to manage the two-person sawmill by himself, a dangerous and exhausting task. In a move that was both practical and deeply touching, Eustace called on Preston's son, Joseph, for help. Joseph, a skilled worker himself, stepped in as the off-bearer, letting the mill run smoothly again. Eustace was thrilled with the help, but the moment was bittersweet, as he remarked on what a fine job Preston had done raising his sons. While dealing with this personal loss, Eustace was also fighting long-running battles with the modern world. Years before Preston's death, in 2012, Turtle Island Preserve became the target of county officials. After a tip, inspectors found multiple violations of building, health, and fire codes in the primitive structures Eustace had built over decades. The county ordered him to shut down public access and either modernize or demolish the very buildings that were the soul of his preserve. For Eustace, this was a threat to his life's work. The codes were designed for modern construction, totally incompatible with the ancestral techniques he was trying to preserve. Codes don't apply to what we are doing, he argued. He saw it as an attack on Appalachian culture and American heritage and faced the threat of criminal charges. The fight was grueling, but after a massive public and legal battle, the North Carolina General Assembly passed a special bill in 2013 that exempted primitive structures from certain building codes, a huge victory for Turtle Island. Still, the ordeal, along with other legal issues like a trespassing charge from a neighbor that was eventually dismissed, showed the constant pressure Eustace was under. These battles became even heavier without his best friend by his side. Despite the challenges, Preston Roberts' legacy became a guiding light. Eustace was determined to make sure his friend's impact would live on. The production company behind Mountain Men started a scholarship in his honor, and Turtle Island established the Preston Roberts Memorial Scholarship Fund, continuing his personal tradition of making sure kids could afford to attend camp. The support was incredible. A GoFundMe page that Eustace set up to help Preston's family with medical bills and to fix their roof raised over $110,000, a powerful sign of the love the community had for Preston. For Eustace, continuing the mission of Turtle Island became the ultimate tribute to his friend. Every workshop, every student taught, and every log hewn was an act of remembrance. He channeled his grief into purpose. His return to Mountain Men, though painful, allowed him to keep sharing the philosophy they both believed in, inspiring millions with a message of resilience, not just in body, but in heart and spirit. He showed the world that even the strongest among us can be broken by loss, but that it's possible to carry on, to find new strength, and to keep a legacy alive. Eustace Conway's story is a powerful reminder of the strength of the human spirit. If you were moved by his journey of friendship, loss, and perseverance, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth stories about the people who dare to live differently. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. The story of Eustace Conway is so much more than just a tale of a mountain man. It's a deep story about the power of friendship, the crushing weight of grief, and the incredible will to keep going. The heartbreaking loss of Preston Roberts wasn't just the death of a friend, it was like a giant tree falling, a tree that had supported Eustace's world for 35 years. The tragedy didn't just leave a hole, it completely reshaped his journey, forcing him to walk a path that suddenly felt a lot emptier and harder, facing down legal battles, natural disasters, and the sheer emotional weight of his loss. Eustace has kept walking. The work at Turtle Island Preserve, now filled with the memory of Preston, carries on, a living monument to their shared dream. Eustace's time on Mountain Men is no longer just about survival skills, it's a testament to surviving immense personal tragedy. He has shown that true strength isn't about being invincible, but about how you choose to carry on after being broken. The heartbreaking tragedy of Eustace Conway is really a story of an enduring legacy, the legacy of a legendary friendship and the unwavering spirit of a man who, despite losing his other half, refuses to let their vision fade away.